Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome to WHW Monday. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson.
Jim Crockett First Arcade, 605 NWA. TV title, Cajun Omni, the Bunkhouse Stampede. Flair and Horseman, Garvin, Bogey, Magnum, Dusty, Express Tag Team. Turner, Bodden, Mid-South Joint World Championship Wrestling.
Talking about the great years of World Championship Wrestling, the NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions.
Tony and Friends North, they win. Look, Schiavone's back again. World title split off, center stage, Bischoff. Disney, Hogan, and Nitro. New World Order and The Crow. Thunder, Russo, Arquette Champ, Vinnie Mac, simulcast. Tony's back with Conrad, not your classy podcast. Watch along, try not to laugh. Lowest rules, cat back. This wasn't the initial plan. Thompson's a good-looking man. Klondike Bill, make a chant. Tommy, you come over here.
What happened when?
WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm fine. Bring on 1986. I can't believe how many years ago this was.
What, Tony?
35 years now, right?
Tony, it's 2021. Are you in a time machine?
Yes, I am. As you can tell, I'm in a big time machine here. I'm going to go back to time when, man, things were wonderful in my life. They are now. But back when things were wonderful in my life, we were having children. I was getting some on a regular basis.
Oh.
If you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy, you're starting
skinny.
off the year on a strong foot here.
I was skinny. Just had a mustache. Got drunk on occasion with some of the people that you're going to see me interview here.
I guess we should go ahead and remind everybody, one of our New Year's initiatives for 2021 is we're going to go week by week here on What Happened When, celebrating the life and times of Jim Crockett Promotions in 1986. This has been a pretty controversial decision amongst our fan base. Some of our listeners prefer us to watch more modern stuff like ECW and whatnot. And by the way, we've done a ton of that, and we'll continue to do a ton of that over on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/WHW Monday. In fact, just this past week, Tony, you and I did 2 big bonus episodes, one of which was a Monday Night Raw from 1996, which we believe was the first time Hunter and Sean were in the main event against each other. But there was a hilarious commercial in the middle of that for Warrior University and so much other great stuff. Plus, we went back and watched Bret Hart wrestle an I Quit match, a submission match, if you will, for the world title against Bob Backlund at Survivor Series 94, neither of which you had ever seen. And we're going to continue to do all kinds of across the board bonus content that you pick. We don't pick, you pick over at patreon.com/WHW Monday. But Tony, Jim Crockett Promotions, 1986. This was your biggest year ever, right?
Sure was. It was the biggest year for the company.
Yep.
We had been on, by the time we start rolling on this one, we had been on TBS less than a year, but we were basically in our second year of being on TBS. Magnum T.A. was red hot. Dusty Rhodes was booking better than ever. And we were the alternative to the WWF.
Right.
And we were more, I guess we were more adult oriented.
Right.
Old school oriented. In other words, if you were a kid and you loved Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan's rock and wrestling and all that stuff, more than likely your parents or your grandparents liked what we did better.
Right.
Because that's what they remember. So it was a great time. It was a great time for me because I was just a couple of years removed from just being a big wrestling fan. And now I was on the other side of the camera. So it was an exciting time for me. And I got to know, some people very, very well. Got to be friends with some people and friends to this day with them. So it was a big moment in my life. I'm trying to think if this is during the time, and I hope we can find it. I hope it's during this time because we're going to watch week to week. There was 1 week in this series, and I think it's 86. There's 1 week in this. I'm almost sure it is 1 week in this series where I had taken the family. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
To Huntsville, Alabama.
What?
Yep.
Why?
To see the Space Center.
Oh, well, yeah. Gotcha. A couple of marks.
Well, you obviously never had a bunch of little kids in your house.
I got a bunch of little kids in my house right now.
You got a bunch of yapping teenagers in your house.
And a couple of dogs.
A couple of dogs. We had smaller children. And so we thought, let's go to the Space Center. And we did. And we had a big weekend. Space Center, went to see the Braves play. And of course, Saturday morning we did our show. So there is a moment here where you're going to see Matt, Chris, and Laurie in the stands. Chris Schiavone is going to be in a stroller, and Matt and Laurie are going to be sitting in chairs with Mama. And so it was a pretty cool morning. So I hope I don't remember what show it is, and I hope I can point them out without, you and I talking about, I don't know, dicks or something like that
Tony,
you like to talk about on this show.
Tony, you opened this show talking about, 1986, I was getting some, and boy, I hope we can talk about my kids without you talking about dicks. I've said nothing except Happy New Year, and I'm so excited about 1986. Why are you painting me with the ugly brush here?
I don't know. Why would anybody ever paint you with an ugly brush? I don't know.
You're being very hurtful.
Why would anybody be very hurtful to you? Because only thing you do is just throw out nice things to us all the time. I don't know. It's my fault. I know. You don't deserve this. You never bust anybody's balls. You don't deserve whatever it is I do to you, Bruce does to you, or Arn doesn't bust your chops, I'm sure.
I'm just really thankful that you finally recognize the error of your ways.
Yeah. I'm going to clean things up.
Listen, 1986, man, serious business. This is going to be fun. I have a lot of fond memories of watching this stuff as an adult. It's worth mentioning. I'm 4 years old when this first airs. I'm not watching wrestling at all.
4 years old.
But once I really got into tape trading and whatnot in the late 90s, about every collector there was had a collection of Horseman interviews as a compilation. And you're going to see a ton of that. And as a heads up, we're going to track a lot of great promos because that was such a critical part of Jim Crockett in 1986. But we are still going to let Tony riff and have some fun. And we're starting at a great time, by the way. The Four Horsemen have really just got up and going. They're just now gaining some steam and momentum. In this particular episode, which is January 4th, 1986, you're going to see J.J. Dillon announce that he is now exclusive to Tully Blanchard. and they're going to start referencing the Horsemen. But again, this is very much the infancy of calling themselves the Horsemen. It's a really special time. And I'm just, hey, by the way, look who's calling me right now.
Huh.
Won't be able to answer that. He's going to, call us all a bunch of mocks. Hey, this is a great show. I'm ready for it. We're going to go week by week, every single week right here with you. It's the 35th anniversary of Jim Crockett Promotions' very best year in business, January 4th, 1986. And Tony, we've got a little help for our countdown today, right?
Yes, we do. Thanks to our Loki Big Hogs and Glass Bottom Boat Riders on our Patreon page, patreon.com/ or just / as they say now, WHW Monday. So ready to go?
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Since we're a bunch of mocks.
Yes.
He's relentless, isn't he?
Yeah. He's probably telling me, never mind.
You know, I would text him right now, say, stop calling Conrad, we're recording, but then I would get texts all during the day. I don't need that. So.
Wait a minute. Do you pronounce the plural of the word text as Texas?
Textus.
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 Are your Texas next to your, Peni?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Texas.
Peni, Texas, and Balluses.
I'm pretty sure. Never mind. I didn't know you had two sets, I guess, but let's do the countdown.
Let me clear my throat here.
me.
Hold on. I got a big loogie.
Really? Well, we're on video. If you want to see Tony's big loogie, then be sure to join us on adfreeshows.com, where you can also see me try to choke down my wife's smoothie this morning.
Oh, your wife makes you a smoothie?
Well, here's the thing. She said, hey, I know you're recording early with Tony. She didn't have time for breakfast. So here's this. And I was like, woman, you know, I only eat Magic Spoon for breakfast. She said, yeah, but I thought that the spoon hitting the bowl might make noise the microphone would pick up. And I was like, okay, that's pretty thoughtful. I appreciate that. Then she handed me something that looks like a chocolate milkshake. It is not. It does not taste like a chocolate milkshake. But I know how this works. If I come out of this room when we're done and this glass isn't empty, I'm starting the new year off in trouble.
I just, my head is about to explode.
What, that vegan cooks and stuff?
Yeah, that someone would say, hey, would you like some breakfast? That's never happened around here.
Well, here's the thing. I put my thing down last night, so she's going to be cooking all day.
You're a man's man, buddy.
She woke up grinning.
You're a man. You're my hero.
Well, yeah. I hope not. I hope that we can aim to be a little better. Hey, we were going to do this countdown, you motherfucker. I mean, I feel like I threw to this like 8 minutes ago. We're still here just looking at each other like a couple of mocks.
Okay, shut the fuck up. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Track it. What building are they in here, Tony?
I do believe they're in Greensboro.
It looks like it to me. Track it. Is that the best entrance music ever?
World Championship Wrestling, bringing you great wrestling action, sanctioned by the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance.
Welcome to World Championship Wrestling, #1 in professional wrestling. I'm David Crockett. With me, Tony Schiavone. Tony, I hope everyone out there had a happy new year.
I hope so also, David, and we have a great program to begin the new year for you. We have 7-time World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race here with us today. The World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy Ric Flair here also. And we have a special challenge match between Magnum T.A. and the Barbarian with Paul Jones. That is here today on this program. And David, a new year, a new champion around that I want you to talk about, and a lot of new things are going on.
Oh, that is right. We have a new national heavyweight champion, and that's the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And when you talk about Dusty Rhodes, there is a situation now. It involves J.J. Dillon, right? Tully Blanchard, Baby Doll and Dusty Rhodes.
And we're going to talk to James J. Dillon and Tully Blanchard in just a second. And also another situation has developed. Someone has a very serious injury.
That's right. There has been a very serious injury to the leg of Ole Anderson. And Tony, remember what Dusty said?
Says go start with the head of the family.
And that's what Dusty Rhodes did. He started with the head of the family, Ole Anderson.
We'll talk more about that situation a little bit later on. But we want to bring in right now Tully Blanchard and with him, James J. Dillon. Not accustomed to seeing you two together.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit later, but James J. Dillon has been hired by myself, by Tully Blanchard Enterprises Incorporated, as the Associative Director. And that's just what his position is my confidant and associate, so don't let anything worry. I tell you what, you want to talk about Ole Anderson and being injured by Dusty Rhodes the Almighty. What Dusty Rhodes did in Atlanta, Georgia, was totally against anything ever heard of in professional wrestling what he did to Ole Anderson. And talk about the head of the family. Well, I tell you what, that took down one of the four horsemen. Arn likes to say the four horsemen, Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Ole, and Arn Anderson. Well, that's where professional wrestling resolves right there. Right around those four people. You take one down, that leaves three left. But the fourth one will be back, I can guarantee you that. Magnum T.A, the United States Heavyweight Champion. There's a lot of things happened in my life here recently. But don't forget, I haven't forgot about you. And the National Heavyweight Championship belt that J.J. once proudly had in his trophy case, put his faith in somebody a little bit inferior, got beat, got took down, short-lived. But I tell you what, J.J.'s on the first-run team now. And I tell you what, it's going to really be something to see.
All right, Tully, you've been talking about a lot of things, but one thing I'd like to know is, where's Baby Doll?
I don't even want you to mention her name again unless we choose to bring it up, which I doubt very seriously we will.
Okay, let's go to the ring.
So, Tony, what are you thinking so far?
Well, I'm thinking behind the scenes, they kind of did a backhand slap to Buddy Landell there.
In a major way. As a reminder, he won the national title November 28th, Starrcade 85 in Greensboro.
Right.
Of course, we've talked about it before. He had some problems, had a falling out with Dusty. Dusty awards himself the belt in a phantom match from Albuquerque, New Mexico. In reality, Buddy was fired for his drug problems. And so now Dusty is the national champion, but of course, Buddy used to be managed by J.J. Dillon. So little backhanded commentary there from Tully. And was it just me or did Tully seem nervous in that promo?
Yeah, because he did, because he said, I tell you what, a lot of times.
Well, and he counted the horsemen multiple times, and he said, wrestling resolves around us instead of revolves. There was just a few things where you could tell he was not as comfortable as he would be in other times. And I think some of that, and maybe I'm wrong, I've never been a wrestler, but I feel like some of Tully's best stuff is when he was fresh out of the ring and just running on adrenaline. When he's fired up and hooting and hollering and his voice is raised, that's when he's really feeling it and his shit's hitting on all cylinders. Maybe when he's a little more calm, it's something he has to kind of work out to get in the groove. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Because you very much as a wrestler back in those days, you kind of reacted and drew your excitement from the fans who were there.
Right.
So the fans had been, let's say the fans had been cheering the Tully match or booing a Tully match or a horseman match, and we're really into it, close quarters, not many people, but in a setting like that, they do make a lot of noise.
Right.
And you draw from that. And so he starts off the show with us, and it's a lot different than coming out of a match, like you said. Another thing I was thinking about as he was doing that interview, and there's going to be, I guess, another interview with Tully coming up.
Several. He's got 13 interviews on this show.
Okay. 1986 was like one of those years for us to where I really think a lot of people improved as the year went by, as far as their mic work was concerned. Now, Tully, obviously with his father and had been from Texas, had worked in the promotion, had been in wrestling for a number of years by this time.
Yep.
But I'm not so sure he did as many promos as he would do with World Championship Wrestling.
And even if he did, they would have been, not national, I mean, don't get me wrong. Right. They had some spots on the USA Network, but the perception is certainly that the Superstation is the biggest possible station to be on. And here he is. By the way, let's talk about the set here, because I think a lot of our fans sometimes confuse the two areas or the two buildings, where they see that they assume it's the same building. It's not the same building. Tell everybody where we are right here.
We are in TBS. We are at the mansion. If you go right now, the way with Warner Media, if you go by on 7585, you can see it from the street, from the interstate, but you can't see it as well as you used to because they built around it. But it was called the mansion, the main studios, the main offices of World Championship Wrestling. You go right in the front door of the mansion, and right on the other side of the wall there basically was these studios. And this was a studio. And again, I think it's, we have talked about this before, but you also had wrestlers dressing in people's cubicles in office buildings outside. And downstairs they had a canteen where you go down and you would buy your food and everything. And so this was a great place, man. This was home for us. I need to bring up something else about Tully's interview that I think really needs to be, I don't know, needs to be discussed, but needs to be made a point here. And this is true. You can ask Tully, you can ask Arn. A lot of times those guys will go out and party all night.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm not going to say names because it wasn't all the guys, but sometimes they would go right from the bar
straight
into the studio here.
Yeah, of course.
And so they were like big time hungover. And so they didn't always do their best work first thing in the morning.
As we're watching the Rock and Roll Express here work over a couple of underneath guys, I wanted to mention a lot of times people didn't refer to the mansion as the mansion. They called it Techwood Drive, right?
Yeah. Techwood. That's right.
I think we're going to be going right back to Tully here. It's weird that we go right from the Magnum T.A. or not Magnum, but Rock and Roll Express, right back to Tully. Here he is. Let's track it.
That Mr. Dillon kind of stepped in and erased real quick.
Well, the Baby Doll's name is not really the thing I want to hear right now. You take somebody, I know a lot of men can relate to this sitting at home. You take somebody from nothing and you make them something. You give them money, you gave them class, you give them furs, jewelries, wine, and dine them from one end of the country to the other. Recognition. I made the name Baby Doll a household name in the United States of America and worldwide. And I tell you what, she turned her back. When she was really needed, she turned her back on me, the person that gave her life, the person that made her what she is today. She turned her back. That's where Baby Doll is David Crockett. She turned her back on the man that gave the perfect woman what she is. And I tell you what, one time I came out here and defended her honor. Dusty Rhodes wanted to call her a Jezebel, a perfect zero. Well, I tell you what, she's worse than that, because any woman that would cheat on her man is lower than that.
Well, here with Tully Blanchard, James J. Dillon, and when we return, we'll find out exactly what happened. Don't go away.
I might make that my ringtone.
That's cool, man. We're going to find out what happened. Okay.
We're back for another Tully promo. Here we go.
With Tully Blanchard, you have a few words to say.
Well, you see what has happened to start 1986. Tully Blanchard Enterprises was formed, and after negotiating with Mr. Blanchard due to a series of events that took place, I have severed all ties with all other individuals to assume the position as administrative director of Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And I think one of the things that has brought us together, and one of the keys that shows why Mr. Blanchard is championship caliber material, he's a very sharp individual. He's already alluded to the fact that there is a plot out to destroy the four horsemen of wrestling. They're being picked off one by one. The ringleader, of course, is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and frankly, nobody in professional wrestling knows more about the career of Dusty Rhodes than myself, going back over a 5-6 year period of time. And we have a plan. We already have a plan. And it's a classic example of the domino effect is what it is. The first domino to fall will eventually lead to Dusty Rhodes at the end of the line. Now, you see, the big mistake that a lot of people make is that they assume that if you're going to use this theory, you must go after a Sam Houston, for lack of another name. One of the young people that Dusty Rhodes has taken under his wing, devoted a lot of time to, taking an interest in your career. But you see, if you go to a Sam Houston, you're going to bypass a few key individuals that can cause the whole group to reunite. The key is the first domino in the chain is the silent friend, the one that nobody else is aware of, and only me would be keen enough to pick this up. And I'm talking about the boogeyman, Jimmy Valiant. And if anybody has ever seen Dusty Rhodes in the shadows behind the arena, the man that is always there by his side, the man that is always there in the hour of need is the boogeyman, Jimmy Valiant. And when he falls, the rest will fall in chain.
Hold it a minute. Now,
that's right.
You're evading the question. I asked him where Baby Doll was. I know why you're here, and I know exactly what took place. I want to show it to these fans. Let's show it to them right now, and then everybody out there will understand why these two guys are here. All right, let's watch
Baby Doll, where in the world have you been?
Well, Tony, you should know J.J. gave me the ticket to Acapulco. He said it was my Christmas present from you.
J.J. gave you what? From me?
J.J. gave me a ticket to Acapulco for my Christmas present from you. JJ, come here. You gave me the ticket, remember? You said it was a Christmas present.
Sounds
from
like something rotten in Denmark to me, but I didn't tell JJ.
JJ, come on, tell him.
You're a real sweetheart, Baby Doll, and I think the world of you. But you're going to have to figure out some other way to cover your tracks because I don't know what you're talking about.
JJ, come on, tell him. You gave me the ticket.
Get your hands off of him.
No,
if you're taking off, you're bought and paid for. You're mine. You're my 10. And if you're off running off, if you're running off.
She don't belong to you. She belongs to me now. Don't you ever put your hands on her.
Boy, you're talking about bedlam in a situation there.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. You saw it right there. That's right. Baby Doll had to cover her tracks, put all the heat on James J. Dillon right there to cover her own track because she was off flattening around with somebody else. Well, Baby Doll, you are mine, bought and paid for. I don't care if Dusty Rhodes comes out and wants to take you or do anything else. Dusty Rhodes, you don't stick your mind in my business ever again. I made the World Television Championship. I made the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. And I'm going to take you down, Dusty Rhodes. And I'm going to take the National Heavyweight Championship from you, the Domino Effect, Jimmy Valiant, anybody you run around with. And don't you forget, Dusty Rhodes, you're at the top of all those. And when you get back in that squared circle with me, I'm going to finish the job that I started last year. And I'm going to take Baby Doll back. And she's going to have a lesson taught her like no lesson ever taught to anybody.
Well,
dude, I know there's no way you could do that. And we see Harley Race in the ring here already ready to go against Tony Zane. I know you could never do that in 2020. And thank goodness that we don't do stuff like that. But dude, the electricity in that moment with the crowd and all that, I got goosebumps.
It was a big time angle.
It was one of those deals where as a wrestling fan, you can say, okay, they're fooling around. They're having fun. Oh, wait a minute. But that was real.
Exactly.
And it felt real.
That's what we call the hook.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the son of, our favorite mock, but the hook was Magnum T.A. and I talked about this a lot, and Magnum's going to be on the show. There was always that one hook that brought you in, and there was a hook for that show or this angle. And it's funny. They would bring up Sam Houston's name in that promo.
Yeah.
Because she was seeing Sam Houston on the side
in real life.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. In real life. So it was kind of like one of those kayfabe relationships that
if you're paying attention, you know. Me and you do that a lot here. We'll make
each other.
We'll make little inside jokes that almost no one listening would get, but you and I do.
Right.
and maybe a handful of others if they were to hear it. And I don't know why that is fun for us, but we do it a lot.
Right.
So listen, I know, beforehand you were like, I don't know, man, is this going to be fun? We're like, what, a half hour in? No, we're 16 minutes in. Have you changed your mind yet? This is great shit, dude.
No, this is fun. This is a lot of fun. And this also helps me remember things too.
Right. Well, and if I'm honest with you, that's really one of the reasons I wanted to do 86, because if I'm showing you ECW for the first time, we're going to talk about potted meat and tell penis jokes. But if we're talking 1986 Jim Crockett Promotions, dude, you were fully engaged. This is not I don't know, I don't recall the booking committee type situation. Just as we watch it, stuff will come back that you can share with us. And I think it's going to be super valuable. By the way, you see Harley Race is beating up our show producer here, Stan.
Mm-hmm.
This is Tony Zane here is the spitting image of Stan in 2020.
Does the Stan lack a tan on his body like Tony Zane did?
I hope to never find out.
Okay.
Harley Race here is not, he's not quite the NWA world champion that he was a few years prior. And he's not yet gone to Vince, but he certainly is moving around a little differently.
Yeah, he is. And again, a part of that probably is he could have been out drinking.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Here's one of the dynamics of what we did. We did things in the morning, which wrestlers weren't used to doing on a regular basis, right?
No.
So it kind of changed things. It changed the dynamic, and it was almost at times, it was almost funny to witness these guys who would go out and, go do a house show and then go to the bar or somewhere, go eat, go to the bar. No, I mean, the same thing happens today on a different level in AEW. And what I'm saying is that here's Harley's headbutt. What I'm saying is that the guys and the girls who work for AEW, and I know for the WWE, they don't go to bed immediately after the show's over.
No.
They eat, some drink, some just hang out, and they go to bed very, very late. And because we tape at night, they have a chance to sleep during the day. Didn't have a chance to sleep during the day for this show.
No, up and at them first thing
in the morning. Right.
All right, here we see a little promo here. Track it.
6-man tag team champions. Here's your trophy, indicative of the world 6-man tag team champions.
Yes, I thought I'd bring it out this way, just to give everybody a treat. World 6-man tag team trophy, representing the best 3 athletes in all the world. Crusher Khrushchev, Nikita, my nephew, and myself. Now I know the competition for this cup is going to be very fierce in the future. Names like this Dusty Rhodes, Magnum T.A, the Road Warriors. Not only because it's such a prestigious cup that everybody wants it, because the Koloff family is holding it. Russian athletes are holding it. This is why all the Americans want to take it away from us, because they don't like the idea that the #1 athletes are holding on to this. Now, like the Road Warriors found out by us leaving them laying. Yes, you found out you weren't so big and so bad when you tackled the Koloff family. I'm so proud of nephew Nikita's accomplishments and Crusher Khrushchev. Whether you see us in tag team competition or individual competition, you are going to be seeing the best. And 100% effort on the Koloff family's name. You are going to find out, all you competitors out there, that we are not going to stop at anything. And these Rock and Roll Express, we are going to go beyond the Road Warriors, even though we know that there's going to be some battles. There's going to end up putting somebody in the hospital. But we welcome this opportunity because we are out to prove that we are superior. And we will do it at your expense, Americans. Yes, Rock and Roll Express, we will not stop until we get World Tag Team belts again. And the Kremlin, yes, it sent Nikita, my nephew, after you, Magnum T.A, and the United States Heavyweight Championship will come over to the Koloff family.
Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff, 1/3 of the world 6-man tag team champions. We're going back to the ring.
And in the ring, Ron Bass against Bill Tabb.
Ivan Koloff, to me, one of the coolest things for me as an announcer back in the day was seeing both sides of Ivan Koloff and seeing both sides of a guy like Baron von Raschke,
right,
whose persona was all an act, right?
Right.
I mean, Ivan Koloff is a guy from Montreal, but he wrestled under many names, I know, and he left us about 3 or 4 years ago. And behind the scenes was such a genuinely sweet, nice person. And then he would come out and become Ivan Koloff. And the same thing would be for Jim Raschke, who was such a sweet, nice person. And when the camera was rolling, he would become Baron von Raschke. To me, seeing both sides of them was one of the real treats of me doing wrestling.
Right.
Because everybody else was like, okay, Cowboy Ron Bass right here we're looking. Okay, Ron Bass talked to you backstage the same way he talked to you on the camera. But those two guys were, and Nikita was the same way, I know. But really for Ivan and Baron von Raschke, those are the ones that stick out to me. So it was pretty cool. Ivan, great man. Anybody, I think I'm honest when I say this, and I think I'm accurate when I say this. Ivan was one of the guys that everyone had a good thing to say about. Everyone. No one had a bad word to say about Ivan Koloff behind the scenes. He was such a good, even-keeled, friendly guy. Always smiling. And you see now, always smiling, always happy, but when he was on camera, he wasn't. He was growling and complaining about Americans and complaining, and he could do that he did the old school stuff there, which was he touched on all the baby faces.
Right.
It's good, man. This is good stuff. I'm enjoying the shit out of it.
Tell us about the folks around ringside. Who would have been running camera here? Jackie Crockett's probably one of them, right?
I don't think Jackie ran the camera here. I think he only ran the camera for the pay-per-views and the syndicated stuff because TBS wanted their people to run it. And this is one of the problems that I think that we had with what was going on here was that the cameramen
weren't used to shooting wrestling, right?
Yeah. Well, they would put anybody behind the camera. We got to track this interview, buddy.
Oh, of course. Here we go. Dusty Rhodes and Baby Doll.
Well, also, something has happened to Ole Anderson. We want to talk to the national heavyweight champion, Dusty Rhodes, along with Baby Doll.
You know what, Tony? We got a great cross-section of people throughout this country and in this studio. Every day, they all got opinions about each other. You know, opinions are like something you have on your body. Everybody's got one. I don't care about it at this point in time. Ole Anderson, your brother, Arn Anderson, is going to get what you got. You laying right now in the bed with your leg cracked up. I told you how it's going to be. They say, Dusty Rhodes, I just got a letter from some guy up in Oregon, Seattle, say, Dusty Rhodes, how come you're always helping everybody and getting paid back for? Well, that's the way I am, you know. I'm a little hard-headed. They say, Dusty Rhodes, how come you don't look like Ric Flair and have all them muscles and pretty body? Well, I like the nightlife just a little bit better than I like the damn gym, Jack. You understand? As long as I can get out and do it better than anybody, and as long as I make more money per night than any athlete in this country, and as long as I make $500,000 a year, I don't really give a damn what they think out there. Can you dig that? I hope you can. I hope you can. I hope you can. Lord, I hope you can. Tully Blanchard, you laid your hands on something that is sacred in this country. And that's a lady. And ladies are sacred to me, baby. I don't care what they've done in the past. All right. So let's take a look at Ole Anderson in pain, blues, and agony right now and let the world see what the American Dream's up to at this point in time.
Okay, let's roll that tape and see what the national heavyweight champion Dusty Rhodes is talking about. Going up, the Road Warriors are in there with you, Dusty, and they're kicking Ole Anderson right down to the canvas. And right there you can see that he's holding that right leg.
You know what, Tony? The Road Warriors are brothers of the road. They need no partners. They need no help from anybody. When I call him, when I talk to him, when I say Warriors, we talk about the road, we talk about the nightlife, we talk about how late we stayed up and what time we didn't go to bed. That's how bad it is. And when I say Warriors, there's something got to be done. Right here, you see Dusty Rhodes. Ric Flair, remember this scene a few months ago? Remember this scene here? The same thing replayed, but the cards on the other foot. Your cousin laying flat prone with his half-naked head right there, Jack. You understand what I'm saying? Right here, another shot. 2 in a row. Yes, I did it. I'm not lying about it. Right there. Payback is really bad, ain't it, Rick? Payback is really bad. Right here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the Nature Boy's hole right here on his own cousin, Arn Anderson. You better not lie. I mean, you better watch out, and you better look behind you, because I'm coming for you. Ole Anderson, I've never seen him in so much pain since he got the bill at the Hyatt Regency the last time he was in Charleston, South Carolina. You understand? That is pain right there, Jack.
Oh, my.
All right, now that I'm on a roll, I want to introduce you to not my valet or nothing like to my personal. This is my personal right here. And, Mama, you got all the time you want on this program. Take it.
Tully Blanchard, isn't it just too bad you couldn't handle a real woman? And by the way, Dusty, I have always loved champions. And Tully, I will pay you back for slapping me.
Woo, I like it.
All right, Baby Doll and the national heavyweight champion, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Let's go to the ring.
Dude, this is a home run show.
Yeah, it's the first one this year.
We're 27 minutes in, and we've already seen the recapping of the slapping of Baby Doll from Tully Blanchard, and of course Dusty rescued her. Now we've just seen a recap package from where Dusty has put hard times on Ole Anderson. Of course, that was the whole build for Starrcade 85. We're fresh on the heels of that. This is just tremendous stuff. And now we see Ron Garvin here about to put a hurting on somebody.
2 things about that interview that I thought were very good. Number one was there were, and I mentioned this before, but to the left of us, and you can see it right now. See the lady in the green?
Yep.
Okay. She hated Dusty Rhodes.
Okay.
And she had a couple of ladies with her that hated Dusty Rhodes, and they always booed him. And so they were getting on his ass when he walked out before the commercial.
Hey, let me ask real fast. Did they hate Dust? Did they cheer like the good looking guys, or did they usually cheer the baby faces just didn't like Dusty?
Yeah, that's right. They cheered the baby face, just didn't like Dusty.
Okay.
She was kind of like the ringleader, and she sometimes had a couple other people. So she always booed him when he came out. So she boos him here. It happened many times, but obviously here. She boos him when he comes out, doesn't like Dusty. And now we're waiting to roll tape again. So the first part of that interview was directed towards her because he pointed to her. I just don't look like everybody else. I'd rather go out and drink than go to the gym. So he does that. And so that I always like that because that was his way of saying, fuck you to the people who didn't like him, which was really cool. And then the thing about the bill, the Hyatt Regency.
Oh, that was inside baseball right there.
Yeah. It was inside baseball. Not necessarily, it wasn't necessarily accurate. Hyatt, Charleston, the inside baseball was Ole Anderson was the tightest fucking wad ever.
Right.
Ever. He told me, Ole told me one time we were driving to Asheville, North Carolina. I may have mentioned this before on one of the podcasts. Ole said that when he first started wrestling, he wanted to keep 70 cents of every dollar he made.
Oh, wow. That's tremendous.
Isn't that? And he also told me that when he and his wife, he said, I still spend money on my wife. If I have a chance to be at home sometime, he said, we go to the drive-in, she'd pop the popcorn. We'd bring the drinks. I said, you mean you wouldn't even go to the concession stand? He said, no, you save your money. And he told me, this is back when he was booking. He told me at that time, he could have been bullshitting me. He said he had $2 million in the bank.
What year was that?
That would have been when I first came back.
Yeah.
Like 1990.
Yeah.
Around that time. And Ole and I had some great conversations, man. We really did. That's why I finally remember Ole, because the conversations that we had, but anyway, Ole was a fucking tightwad, and that's why, and everybody knew it, the tightest. And so I don't know if he really saved 70 cents on a dollar, but that's what he wanted to do.
Well, we should mention too, that's possible. He's not only getting payoffs for wrestling, but he owned part of Georgia,
right?
And he had a real legitimate business. I think wasn't it somewhere? It was something with lumber, right?
Yeah. David, with what we did with David, he mentioned it kind of. David mentioned that he wanted to, but Ole ran a lumber business in Wisconsin. He had all this land, and Ole said, you see the trucks that have all the big trees on it.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. He said, those are our trucks. I don't know if everyone you saw was his trucks, but that's kind of the business he was in.
I was told, I don't know if this is true or not, but he was making like $600,000 a year just from his lumber business.
Yeah. He was making big money from that. So I don't know the figure.
You combine, how about this? Pro Wrestling Illustrated showing Magnum on the cover.
Here at World Championship Wrestling. Join us in Bill Apter starting next week.
Bill Apter's Pro Wrestling Illustrated Spotlight Report next week. Dude, piss off. This is the best decision we've ever made for this show. This is great stuff.
It is great stuff. Oh my God. Give me an interview.
How about Harley Race here? You want to listen to this? Or you want to track it? I mean, or you want to spoof it?
Let's go. I want to hear Harley talk.
Okay, here we go.
Here on World Championship Wrestling.
That's right. The reason why I'm here is they continue to tell me that I have to prove myself. While holding that title more times than any living human being on the face of the earth. The world's title, not the plastic garbage that you hear about. The world's heavyweight title that dates back into the 1800s. A Magnum T.A., they tell me that you're the man in line. You're Mr. It. Well, in a very short hours, we're going to find out what you're made of. I don't have to prove anything to any living human being. And then Flair, in my town, the one with the big arch, inside a cage, we're going to find out what you're made of. We're going to find out just exactly what kind of guts you got. But if they want me to continually prove that Harley Race is wrestling personified, the man that, when you mention the word, has rewritten every book that's been wrote on it. I'll prove it if I have to, all over again. T.A., this just hope that you're up to the task, because nothing would suit me better than to go in to that cage with Flair packing the other belt. I'd love it.
That's right. Harley Race, former world heavyweight champion. Let's go to the ring.
It's worth mentioning. Oh, how about this? We got the Road Warriors coming out against not one, not two, but three enhancement talents. It looks like it's going to be a handicap match, 2-on-3. I think the Road Warriors are at a serious disadvantage. I wonder if they can pull this off.
Yeah. One of them is Gene Ligon, who was one of the good guys who was from North Carolina. And there's Gene that Hawks just grabbed right there.
I would have been the fat guy who just took a powder right away. Like, nope.
That fat guy was scared to death. You could tell he is absolutely scared to death. Anybody that worked with these guys were scared to death.
All right. That fat guy running the ropes right now who just took a shoulder tackle from Animal. That's clearly Cassio Kid. Big booty Judy can't be far away.
A couple of things about Harley's interview and a couple of things that strikes me about all of this is,
well, don't blink. It's
Harley's
over.
Forehead.
It's over. They spent an hour and a half getting ready, 13 seconds in the match.
Well, they're going to do a promo, and that's what they're there for. That's what they're there for, to talk. Here are the Road Warriors.
Here we go.
Is any doubt in anybody's mind that these two men, the Road Warriors, could destroy three men? I think you put that to rest just a couple of minutes ago. Here they are, the Ligon.
Hey, well, you know me and the Animal, we always feel better when we're doing something bad. And we did something real bad, along with Dusty Rhodes, to Ole Anderson. How's your leg? I'll tell you something. I heard he's wearing earplugs when he eats Rice Krispies, because he doesn't want to hear the snap, crackle, and pop. Well, you want to know what makes us sick besides everything? The Russians. The Russians make us real sick. And I got one little question from me and Animal and Precious Paul to the Russians. Is there life after death? Why don't you get in the ring with us and find out? Hey, you want to know why we just had 3 guys in the ring? I'll leave it up to the big man. Tell him. Hey, Tony Schiavone! Twice now the Russians jumped us from behind. Twice they tried to humiliate the Warriors. Now they're the 6-man tag team champions. We've just proved a point in the 60 million homes across the nation that we can beat 3 guys against 2 any stinking time we want to. That goes for you, Nikita, you, Khrushchev, and you, Ivan. We're going to take that 6-man championship. Huck and my brother, we can do it all by ourselves. But the NWA rules won't let us. So we'll find somebody just as sick as we are to beat you 3 morons and show you who is the superior team.
Well, Ellery, I think these men can beat any 3.
You know, something needs to be brought out here, Tony. I listened to Ivan Koloff's interview, and there's one little thing that distinguishes the Russians from the Legion of Doom, and that is the fire of desire, Ivan Koloff. And that fire is stroked on our part by hate. And nothing strokes a fire like hate. And on top of all of that, we've worked for everything that we've got, and it hasn't been given to us like it has to those Russians. Let's get at it.
The Legion of Doom. And let's go to the ring.
Dude, we're rolling. Raging Bull Manny Fernandez is in the ring getting ready. He's going to squash a fella here named Larry Clark. But now we've got the trajectory. It's set. The Road Warriors are going to be the 6-man tag team champions. And we know that, your man Dusty Rhodes is going to join them. And I hope they can find those belts. I hope that it's easier for them to find them than it has been for us.
I knew you would throw that out there, you prick. But let me also say this, a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, and I don't know if they're going to allow us to do this because these matches are so short. You were talking about, was Jackie Crockett running camera?
Right.
And I said, no, he wasn't. And this is one of the things that I never liked about TBS. And this is not to really shit on anybody that worked for TBS. But the TBS people would just let anybody who was one of their employees production run. They would kind of learn to run the camera by working on a WCW, World Championship Wrestling. So we had a lot of inexperienced guys, and they had some experienced guys too, but a lot of the inexperienced guys running the camera there. And I remember thinking that, really? I mean, we're probably your top rated show, and this is it. And so I never, and I always had a bad taste in my mouth about TBS because of that. And when I go back and think about one of the reasons I left, there are many reasons I left, but one of the reasons I left was I didn't like the way they ran their business. And the cameramen and there's probably cameramen who trained here that went on to do wrestling for us in the 90s when we go on the road and do Nitro and Thunder. But back then, to me, it was more important. And so that was it. Another thing I wanted to touch on was Harley Race and the marks on his forehead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Can't hide those, can you?
Hey, Friday, February 7th, 10 p.m. Eastern. Let's try it here.
Address right there. 1250 South Omni International, Atlanta, Georgia, 30303. Tell us exactly the matches that you want to see. Please, I got to tell you right now, put them on a postcard. We have got so many right now.
So the idea is you guys are soliciting dream matches. You've got a special coming up in February. It's a Friday night show, and you're soliciting letters to be sent in telling us what are the 4 matches you want to see. And he's encouraging you, don't put them in a letter, put them on a postcard. But if you'll tell us the 4 matches you want to see, the 4 most requested matches, we're going to put on for you on our live special Friday night, February 7th here on TBS. So what you're doing is you're getting a whole letter writing campaign, and of course you're working it, but this is like way before the internet and the WWF was doing Taboo Tuesday. You know, I think they started that in like 2004. Well, here we are in 1986 and you guys are doing your own sort of Be the Booker campaign. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And I think about today and I think about how organized something like that would be today and how probably disorganized that was. I have a feeling, I may be wrong. I have a feeling we get all these postcards in and of course we work it, right? Like you said.
Yeah.
We're going to put the matches on we want, which is the way to do it. I have a feeling all those postcards and letters were never compiled.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just thrown away.
Yeah, and that to me that tells me all you need to know about why JCP didn't survive compared to the WWE.
Let me give you another example. As we saw the Road Warriors cutting a pretty fantastic promo, and what a great line that was from Hawk when he said, "Let me ask you a question. Do you believe in life after death? Why don't you get in the ring with us and find out?" Dude, that was a great line, and the crowd popped. But during Hawk's promo, they did a cutaway to a fan in the crowd who brought his Road Warrior action figures. Now, were those Jim Crockett Promotion action figures? No, they were action figures from a dying AWA. So we showed AWA Rimco action figures on TV. Vince would never do that, A, and B, he would have had his own. And here's the other thing about this whole letter writing campaign about you pick the matches. If you remember, once upon a time, they had Earthquake put Hard Times on Hulk Hogan, take him out. And Tugboat did like a letter writing campaign, right? Send your well wishes to Hulk, blah, blah, blah. Well, in my discussions with Bruce, he said, "Oh yeah, we were doing that so we could capture addresses and then we could send them catalogs so they could buy shit." Ta-da! That's what you could have done here. We got Tony Schiavone back at the stick, and here he is. Let's track it.
Whole world knows Mr. Tony Schiavone and Mr. David Crockett. I'd like you to stand over here because today I got a lot to say. Okay. And because you have a lot to do with this program, the first thing I'm going to do is ask for equal time. All right. So I don't want anybody on with his cameras giving me this shot. You keep your mouth shut, buddy, or you'll be outside looking in. My cousin, as you know, the great Ole Anderson, right now is unable to perform in the greatest sport in the world today because he has an injury due to a malicious act of violence on the part of Dusty Rhodes, the people, everybody out there call the man they call the American Dream. Now, Tony Schiavone, he has the nerve to walk out here. This is going to be a 3-part interview, so let's address this. We're talking about Ole Anderson now. Okay. And I'm going to get back to that later on in the show. Now we're going to talk about Dusty Rhodes, who has the audacity to walk out here. Can you imagine this? At my interview time, I got to put up with these idiots. I'll tell you how it is, Dust. You can tell the whole world that you're the #1 sports attraction, that you're the greatest athlete in the world, that you're all there is. But we know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that unless you got this in your hands or got this around your waist, you're only second best. In other words, anything you're telling the public and telling yourself is a figment of your imagination. And if we're talking about big bucks, Dusty Rhodes, I spent more money on spilt booze with Leona Hemsley last Sunday night sitting in my lap than you made in the last 6 months. That's right. You know why? Because I am legitimately a big deal. Now, part 3. I have a very dear friend, as you know, his name is Tully Blanchard. Right. About a year ago, he made the mistake, and I told him, of trying to confine all his talent and all his ability around one woman. A woman that he called, and every sports person in the world addressed as a perfect 10. Well, baby doll, now that you're on the other side of the track and I don't have to worry about hurting one of my friend's feelings, I'm going to tell you how it is. I never liked you to begin with. You understand that? I've seen better on the backside of the worst days of my life.
And Tully Blanchard, I'm going to put my arm around you, brother. I'm going to walk you through society. Baby doll, do you remember the night in Philadelphia that you almost got to ride Space Mountain? You remember that? But out of respect to Tully Blanchard, I sent you to your room, even though you knock. Please let me in, Slick Rick, please. No, baby doll, no Space Mountain tonight. Well, baby doll, you're out of here. Now, one last statement. I happen to know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, because my personal lawyer tells me so, that anybody, Bigfoot himself, could not follow me and my footsteps wherever they go, anywhere in the world today. God bless America and God bless Ric Flair. Go for it. Woo!
The World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy.
Is that the coolest motherfucker that ever lived?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Arn Anderson's fixing to put a hurting on this poor soul.
Marty Lundy, you got you fucking redneck from Rome.
I bet that guy who's beating up could really turn a wrench, though. Look at him.
Oh God, Flair was wonderful. Was just absolutely wonderful. And there's, I had a friend of mine who's since passed. His name was Andy Kaplan. He worked with me in the baseball office. And of course, my baseball career was over by then, but Andy would pass away, I think in 87 or 88. And Andy would say, he said, your name is not Tony. I said, what is it? He said, it's Tony Schiavone. He said, they always say that on TV. They never say Tony. They go, Tony Schiavone. And I thought about that. They do. They would say my whole name. Well, you know something, Tony Schiavone. And, so he said it there, and that just reminded me of Andy and how we talked and how wonderful the thing was. This was, again, my transition year from baseball to wrestling full time. Oh, here's a typical Anderson hammerlock slam.
I love that, by the way.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Why does nobody do that now?
I'm sure is going to cut a great promo coming up next as well.
We don't see that a lot these days. A hammerlock slam like that.
No, we don't.
Yeah. Flair and Arn.
See a lot of this either.
Flair and Arn are going to do a promo next. By the way, they keep referencing the whole Ole injury. That was a New Year's Day show. It was Fan Appreciation Day. All the seats were $5. It's from the Omni. There's 14,000 fans in attendance. And, the main event, was Dusty Rhodes and the Road Warriors taking on Ric Flair and the national tag team champions, Ole and Arn Anderson. After the match is where you saw Rhodes come off the top on Ole's leg. And in my notes here from the history of WWE.com, shout out to those guys. They write, moments later, the ring ropes had to be removed so Ole could be placed on a stretcher and taken backstage. So that was the first. And here we are on the fourth. This is of course a morning show, as we said. Later that night though, the whole crew is going to be, in the Greensboro Coliseum, and they're going to be doing an NWA Television Championship quarterfinal, semifinal, and then the actual finals. Arn Anderson is going to become your TV champion later this same night.
I think I said, when we were looking at the footage, I thought it was from Greensboro, but you're right, Omni. And then I realized it's the Omni because it's got the orange seats. So the Omni had orange seats.
Arn picks up the victory again. Arn here getting his hand raised. He's the national tag team champion with Ole, but later this same night in Greensboro, he's going to become the TV champion, beating Wahoo McDaniel. Pretty cool day for Arn Anderson. Let's see what he's got to say.
Champions, we talked earlier about Ole Anderson. What has happened to him? Let you two guys talk about it now.
As I said, you keep your mouth shut. I'm going to go in there and slap your face. You're not talking to Dusty Rhodes, brother. You're talking to a couple of men. Now get in here, Tony Schiavone. As I said earlier, the great Ole Anderson unable to be here today because of the fact he was maliciously attacked. He's hurt, and we want to roll a film right now showing the whole world exactly what kind of man they call the American dream.
Here we go. The American.
Here he is in all his glory, hollering at me standing all by myself, me the great one, Arn Anderson right there, both of us Dillon.
unable right now to think about anything except the leg on a great member of our family, Ole Anderson. But sure, he's going to stand there and challenge me, knowing that my mind and my heart are there with our cousin Ole. Now look at this, Tony Schiavone. You tell me right now that this great athlete deserves to suffer an injury like this. And you know what really disgusts me? There's about 16,000 people in the Omni laughing and hollering, thinking that's a real smooth operation. Now I'm going to tell you people something as you watch this film, and I'm going to identify myself for all you fools out there that might not recognize the voice. The name is Ric Flair. They call me the world champion. For all of you out there that think that this is real cute and that Dusty Rhodes is a big dog now, you remember one thing. Arn Anderson and Ric Flair walk as tall as any two men alive today. And as I'm standing here right now, I'm making you a promise. I'm making myself a promise. We have made the rest of our family a promise. Dusty Rhodes will be back in the hospital within 90 days.
I'm going to break the silence right now. I'm tired of being polite. I'm tired of being polite to you. What you've just witnessed hits me right in the guts. You took a man, Dusty Rhodes, that helped raise me, and before my very eyes, with those 200-300-pound road warriors riding shotgun, you have crippled him right before my very eyes. And for a man like me, that is an Anderson, that is inbred with Anderson blood, I can't accept it. And the thing that makes me sick, Tony Schiavone, is guys like you, Jim Crockett, David Crockett. He comes in the ring, Dusty Rhodes comes in the ring with a steel-toed boot, continuously kicks Ole Anderson in the leg. I've told you about that boot time and time again. You won't do anything about it. If that had been Ric Flair wearing it, if it had been me or Tully Blanchard wearing it, what would you have done? Fines, suspensions. Hey, I'm not taking you home.
Oh my goodness, baby dolls out here.
You take me home or not. I'm out here to say, Arn Anderson, you are next.
Oh, is that a play? Just 1 minute. Wait a minute, Tony Schiavone.
You're next, and I got news for you. When you get off Space Mountain, you'll be like this.
Tony Schiavone, any intelligent human being knows that women were put on this earth.
You understand?
To make dinner and make babies, and that's where the line is.
We gotta go. We'll be right back.
Help smack her in the mouth.
Dude, we're 53 minutes into the show, and it's the best hour of wrestling we've ever watched together.
Flair laying down.
and by the way, when she comes out and tries to lay the challenge to Arn, Flair was belligerent. That was real. He was beside himself. He was so amped up, knocking shit over, grabbing at the mic.
David.
And the point he's trying to make is, because he said again, when you get off Space Mountain, you'll be like this. And he just laid out flat like he was dead. Let's translate that to non-fans. Woman, you can't handle my penis. What? It's so tremendous. And look, JJ's back out there. Let's track it.
Many years that the Achilles heel of Dusty Rhodes is the boogeyman Jimmy Valiant.
So we see Jimmy Valiant, who we've heard about earlier, is one of the great friends of Dusty Rhodes behind the scenes, and he's going to be domino number one for Tully. But of course, I guess Dusty Rhodes has been given notice now. Arn Anderson is next for him.
And Boogie and Dusty were friends, but I think that friendship got strained.
Why do you think that is?
Because Boogie didn't put the time in the matches that Dusty wanted or needed.
Oh, I see.
Because I remember Dusty telling me, he just comes out here, he does these. Here
we go. Here's Tully.
Said it right. The forest for the trees, you got to get too close sometimes, and you can't see the writing on the wall. You know, Jimmy Valiant real close to Dusty Rhodes for many, many years, confidant. And, you know, I tell you what, Dusty Rhodes, it seems like you're always going to have Magnum T.A., Jimmy Valiant, a lot of people always around him, surrounding him. You got to have his little entourage everywhere he goes. Well, Dusty Rhodes, you get in that ring in the squared circle all by your lonesome without your entourage. It's hard to do because all of a sudden Magnum hits the ring, Valiant hits the ring, the Bull hits the ring, everybody comes attacking you from behind. Well, Dusty Rhodes, there's only one way to eliminate that. I've already been in a conference with the other 4 horsemen, Flair, Arn, Ole, and myself. The way to do it, with the consulting of James J. Dillon, is to strip you down. Valiant, you're going to be number 1. Magnum T.A. number 2. The Bull 3. I don't care what order.
The domino
and then Dusty
effect.
Rhodes, there it is, the domino effect. Dusty Rhodes, you're going to be exposed right in the middle of the ring, all by your lonesome.
Okay, James J. Dillon.
How many more Tully promos do you think we got today?
Hopefully none.
Maybe 4 or 5. Hey, can I tell you that in the last year, it's been a little slow going, but I've decided Tully Blanchard's top 10 for me.
Yeah.
And here he is, Jim Cornette. Are you ready?
1985 Pro Wrestling Illustrated Manager of the Year. Anybody that can read can take a good look at it. That means I'm smart. That means I'm probably about the greatest thing that you people have ever seen. And that means that I know what I'm doing. Rock and Roll Express had to get your attention. 6 months of name calling wouldn't get the job done. So we decided to take a different little tack. I think you got a piece of film. If anybody's smart enough to figure out how to run one of those machines, I want to see that piece of film right now. Look at
go.
The Rock and Roll Express fixed a cheat in another match. I'm at ringside there just scouting the men out. You see the double drop kick. It is a devastating maneuver. I'll give you that. I get up there to complain to the referee. It was 2-on-1. They tried to put their hands on me. That's something that never happens. Here comes the Midnight Express. And now, what we're about to do had a dual purpose. Now, little Ricky Punky Morton there, I figured, number 1, if we made him mad enough, then they'd get in the ring to defend the World Tag Team Championship against us. And number 2, well, if poor little Ricky's arm just didn't happen to last through this, then they'd put the belts up for a tournament and we'd get them anyway. So our dual purpose would be resolved one way or the other. You see there, that skunk Robert Gibson runs in there. Well, let me tell you something. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, Rock and Roll Express, get that camera on me. I'm the best looking thing you'll see all day. I hate your filthy, stinking guts, Rock and Roll Express, and that's the God's honest truth from me to you. We got your attention, we woke you up, and now we're gonna get those belts. You can't do nothing about it, and you can't do nothing about what we're gonna do to you while we're taking them. Because it would make my whole year, it would make my decade if I had anything to do with getting you 2 sleazy little punks out of professional wrestling for good. Because like I said before, I hate your filthy, stinking guts. And anybody that don't believe me, I'll argue the point all day long because I am sick and tired of those idiots running around here claiming to be the World Tag Team Champions when you know who the best team is. Rock and Roll, some bad things are coming down on you. The Midnight Express will take those belts. And everybody's saying, hey, how good are the Midnight Express's singles? Well, we're going to answer that question today too. I'm going to introduce to you now the greatest, best-looking wrestler in the world today. One half of the Midnight Express, Loverboy Dennis Condrey.
By the way, he's 24 years old.
Yeah. And here's another thing about that interview and about that whole thing. Dusty, Flair, Magnum T.A, Koloffs, Road Warriors. You know what drew the most money 86 for the Crockett's?
Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. And that angle probably may have started right there, right? With Cornette hitting Ricky Morton but they sold out. Wow. It was the best angle. I mean, it was the big money draw. It really was. So that's very, very, that's very interesting. There's also an underlying thing about this show too, that I've noticed. We had Harley Race come out and talk about the big arch and wrestling Flair in St. Louis, I guess. And he talked about Magnum T.A.
Yeah.
It was very apparent they're grooming Magnum T.A. sometime in 1986 to become the world champion.
The plan I've always heard was Starrcade 86 was supposed to be Flair dropping the belt to Magnum.
Yeah.
And of course, when Magnum goes down, they have to figure out how do we pivot. And Magnum was fresh off of his best of 7 series with Nikita, and Nikita, because he respected the talent and the heart that Magnum showed, he took his place. So they turned Magnum babyface, or not Magnum. You know what I mean? Nikita. Yeah. By the way, it's been said for years that, of course, in this era, Crockett's running 2 shows a night. and eventually they're going to take Flair and Dusty around on top on the A loop, and the B loop is Rock and Roll Express and Midnights. And there were a lot of times where the planned B town actually drew more money.
Exactly.
Which is just, in hindsight, unbelievable, but also the best of both worlds.
Of course it is. I think that shows a couple of things. That shows not only the power of Jim Cornette's interviews, but it shows the ability of all those four guys to work a match and work an angle, and Ricky Morton to sell. And it was a two-pronged thing. You talked the people into the arenas, right?
Right.
But then you gave them a hell of a match. And that was the magic of what they were doing back then. I mean, this whole hour and a half or whatever it is, and it was a 2-hour show on TBS. This was just a whole infomercial to get you to come to the arenas.
It's the purest form of marketing ever. This is Eric Bischoff's take on why he loves wrestling, because the entire show is an infomercial to sell tickets. Mm-hmm. And by the way, when we were talking about that 2 shows a night deal, let's take a look later in the month. We've got January 22nd in Seattle, Washington. It's Ric Flair working with Dusty Rhodes in the main event. The semi-main is Magnum and the Road Warriors against Carl Steiner, Ivan, and Nikita Koloff. That same day at Dorton Arena in Raleigh, you've got a main event of Ricky and Robert taking on Dennis and Bobby in a no DQ match for the tag team titles. And your co-main is Arn Anderson defending the TV title against Manny Fernandez. So they're able to put together 2 big shows on the same day. And it's very apparent right away, if we put the Rock and Rolls and the Midnights on one, Flair and Dusty on the other, we're going to be okay. And it goes so well that they create the Rock and Roll Express Super Summer-Sizzler Tour. They have lookalike contests, stream date contests, a fan club, and supposedly they're even going to be the first prototypes for Jim Crockett action figures. In hindsight, when you look back, it feels like the Rock and Roll Express may have been a much bigger deal had Crockett had all of their promotional stuff in order. Because you want to talk about licensing. You could have sold the girls Ricky and Robert dolls and wrestling buddies and lunch boxes. And obviously there was a poster, but I just, the caliber of what, or the degree of which they were over in 1986, we can't possibly overstate on this show.
It was amazing. And I was part of the Super Summer-Sizzler Tour. And I'm sure during the course of us watching 1986, we're going to go back and talk about that and show some of that on TV. I was the Super Summer-Sizzler Tour guy.
Right.
All the letters came to me. And I looked at all the letters and I read all the letters, and I'm basically the one that chose who would be on that tour. And because Ricky and Robert said, yeah, whatever you want to do is fine with me. And again, I remember we could have probably put together a mailing list, right?
Right.
We didn't. Here's our 7 or 6 or whatever. Everything else goes in the trash. Now, I should have had the whereabouts to say, hey, we could do something with that, but I didn't. I didn't have any marketing knowledge or experience or whatever. And, so yeah, it was, this is a great year, man. This a lot of good and bad happened in 1986. And
oh man, I hope that's a finishing maneuver.
I think so.
Loverboy Dennis. I know a lot of people online sometimes like to poke fun at his condition, but dude, he looked like a legit badass who would beat you in a game of pool and then break the stick over your head.
Absolutely. You did not have to look pretty to be a great wrestler. And here comes somebody who doesn't look pretty.
Here he goes. Another Dusty Rhodes promo, and I'm ready for it.
She caused a lot of things going on out here a couple of minutes earlier with Ric Flair and Arn Anderson.
I actually seen Ric Flair out here laying down in a spasm of some sort. Kicking his legs and laying down in a spasm. I knew I'd get the attention by breaking Ole Anderson's leg, but Lord, did I know that he'd go into fits right out here on the television. Well, that's good. That's the way I want it. And Arn Anderson, like Baby Dog told you, You next in a cage. I'm gonna take your pop. I'm gonna break a bone in your body. Cause that's what it's all about. And Ric Flair, you are there. And Tully Blanchard, don't be coming out talking anymore about Baby Doll. Don't mention her name, cause I'm her insurance policy. I am her keeper now. And I know, and Ric Flair coming out and told a story about Philadelphia. Say, in Philadelphia, Baby Doll chased him around the hotel, beat on the door, begged him to come in. That's not true. Baby Doll turned you down in Philadelphia. And I told you, and I'm telling the world now, because I asked Baby Doll, I said, Baby Doll, why did you turn the nature boy Ric Flair down? And Baby Doll looked at me and said, Dream, it was lack of size, baby, lack of size.
That's right. Why should I mess with Space Mountain when I have the whole park?
Ooh, that's it, baby.
All right.
So, how about that?
We're measuring dicks.
We are right here on this rivalry. Oh, let's listen to the dream match pitch.
To hear from you. Write to us. Put your dream match on a postcard and mail it to us at World Championship Wrestling, 1250 South Miami International, Atlanta, 30303. We would like to hear from you. We're going to tabulate to see which match you would like to see most right on TV. Mail us your dream match and mail it to that address. We'd love to hear from you. Speaking of dream matches, let's go to the ring.
Magnum T.A. and the Barbarian. You heard Magnum get a big pop from the crowd while Dusty was mid promo. But you know, one of the big themes of 1986, you see him taking off the U.S. Championship. He just won that fresh off of Tully Blanchard back at Starrcade in the cage. One of the most famous I Quit matches of all time. Anyway, look at Barbarian there. Boy, Tommy Young never stood a chance.
No one would have stood a chance.
No, of course not. The rivalry between Flair and Dusty was not just for TV, right?
No. Let me tell you about the rivalry with Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. And I don't know, but I do know what happened there. Dusty did not have another interview planned for that show. But when Ric Flair had his conniption, and laid on the floor, Dusty told everybody in the back, I'm going back out.
Yep.
Because he didn't want Flair's interview, which was tremendous, to top anything he had to say, or he wanted to make sure he had a response to what Ric Flair had to say.
Right.
That was booked on the fly. And that's the rivalry of Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes. Behind the scenes as well.
It's also worth mentioning, I think, that it's been said over the years that if Dusty got a car, Flair got the bigger car.
Mm-hmm.
If Dusty got a Rolex, Flair went and got the Rolex with diamonds. Mm-hmm. They were competing in every facet. Fur coats, watches, suits, women, cars, whatever. And I don't know, man, just knowing that they're now letting it spill over onto TV and we're having Baby Doll compare penises. This is where we are.
Yeah. And Dusty booking Baby Doll with him was another facet of that.
Yeah.
She was beautiful. She looked great. She could do things because she had wrestled. She wasn't that good as a promo, but that's because she didn't have that experience. But now they're going to take that beautiful woman who looks good on TV, and who are they going to put him with? They're going to put him with Dusty. And that was Dusty again being Dusty. And the back and forth. Well, I'll put the most beautiful woman with me.
Right.
So, but it was all, it was all great. I mean, everything we did was great back then. And was so much fun. And when I would have a chance to go and go out with these guys, it was wonderful. Now we were touring at this time too. I mentioned that 1986, I went out with the crew as the ring announcer. And that's where I kind of got in all my trouble.
In 86?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't wait. Because I'm sure something we'll watch this year will click for you and you'll be like, oh yeah, this is the week Lois kicked me out. Or
Well, let me tell you this. The one thing I do remember, and we were in Charlotte. We had a house show in Charlotte, and then we went to Bennigan's, where we always went to, and it was like 4:00 in the morning, and she locked me out of the house.
Well,
I was with Tully. I tell that story backstage at AWI. It's a lot. I said, this is the guy that got me locked out of my house for the first time. And there was another time in Charlotte, we had a house show and I came home and, or had a show in Charlotte, the Coliseum. I came home and she helped me into the bathroom and I puked in the tub. And boy, she really got on my ass about that. So maybe it's because there was drinking going on and
she wasn't a part of it.
She wasn't a part of it. That could have been. That's probably right. Because she's had more liquor than I've had. I can tell you that.
That's how my wife is. She didn't mind if I go drinking. She just wants the invite.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, let me come. I'm fun. And she is.
I got another story too. Remind me to tell you, we'll save it for another time. But remind me to tell you about the swerve that Dusty Magnum pulled on me, which was hilarious.
By the way, we're not done. We've still got the Road Warriors in another promo.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Jimmy Valiant doing a promo. We've got one more match. And then I think we're going to hear from Magnum to close the show. And of course, this was supposed to be his year. You know, it's fun to sort of forecast what Starrcade is going to look like. You could tell the Tully Blanchard, Dusty Rhodes thing is getting kicked off. And these days, their issue would be settled in 6 weeks. But here, it's going to culminate at Starrcade 86. It's January, by the way. So, you know, a whole year away from that feud ending. But Magnum here is the U.S. champ. He's in line for the world title shot. And I think most people assume and believe it was going to happen at Starrcade 86.
How about this 2-segment match?
Yeah. Big deal for this era.
Yeah. And again, this is kind of a main event match that you normally wouldn't see on TV.
But they didn't put it last. And I've always been curious about that. But I think the idea was they wanted to go off the air with the hard sell with a promo.
Yeah.
To buy tickets. So, you know, a conventional way we look at wrestling now, it would be, no, you finish with the big match. But here it's an infomercial. Hey, let's talk about the referee, because a lot of our younger fans may not even recognize that fellow.
Yeah. That's Randy Anderson, Pee-wee.
From Nitro, boys and girls.
Mm-hmm. Who begged for his job back with Eric Bischoff, if you'll recall, in an angle. He's no longer with us. Pee-wee had testicular cancer that he apparently got rid of. And then it came back later in life. The cancer came back later in life and got him. I understand Pee-wee had some heat too.
Really?
In his later years. Yeah.
No, I didn't know anything about that. I'm being serious. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Arn can tell you more about it. I don't even know if he'll want to talk about it. You know how Arn is. But
Arn don't want to talk about nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Pee-wee was there a group of wrestlers later that tried to, I don't know, expose the business or sue Vince, or I don't know. Pee-wee was really hard against the business in his later years.
Oh,
That's probably after he left wrestling.
I didn't know that.
Before he died. And even though he and Arn grew up together in Rome, I don't think their friendship ended on good terms because of that. And Arn was working in the business at the time. So.
Well, I had no idea. I'll have to ask him off air.
Yeah. Ask him off air about his relationship with him.
By the way, I know some of our listeners get annoyed with that, but I totally respect and appreciate that Arn Anderson's not going to go on the show and bury people.
He's not.
He takes the respect of professional wrestling very, very seriously.
Sure he does. And Arn has some tremendous stories, and Arn is a great storyteller and just so much fun to be around in the back. I'd like to just roll tape on him sometime just to hear these, you know, some of the crazy things he says. Like when he said to me, "You look like an Easter egg," because I was wearing purple, and that's good because you're the size of one. Body shape. So whatever. So, we got a referee bump. Magnum could have won it, right? He had him.
Did anybody really think they were going to put the U.S. strap on Barbarian, though?
No. But then again, you never know. Paul Jones could come in. Oh, we're going to have a second referee overturn this. I bet. Or, wait a minute. No, I'm wrong.
Here comes Harley.
1, 2, 3.
Look at the fans. They're confused. Let's track it.
Nah, Jones went over with the cane. Hit Magnum right in the throat. There's no upset. Watch this, Harley Race. You're going to see an upset. The headbutt by the Barbarian. Now both men, Harley Race.
David, right up.
Barbarian, Paul Jones is in there. They take him. What's he going to do?
Backbreaker.
Takes him down. What are they doing? Wait a minute, what's he pointing over there? Tony, both of them. Both of them.
Both of them use that headbutt.
Both of them. Headbutt.
Oh, there's one.
2.
That's both of them's best weapon, the headbutt, and they both headbutted Magnum. And look at Paul Jones.
Come on. Now the rock and roll.
Dude, did you see the fans jump up and down when Jimmy and the rock and rolls came out?
Yeah, what a reaction, huh? How about David's excitement?
Oh, he's fired up. And by the way, we're not done. Tony Schiavone is going to bring it back here.
You saw it right there. We had to have a referee. There's your upset I was telling you about.
Yeah, what about what you did?
I didn't do a thing but count him down, and then he attacked me.
All right.
I didn't attack him. He attacked me.
If they try to move Magnum T.A. along, there goes Harley Race, former 7-time world heavyweight champion who can't. Well, here the Legion of Doom.
What Race think he's doing coming out here during our interview time? You want something from us, Race? You'll get it, just like everybody else.
Hey, the main topic here is that's just another example of what goes on when it's 2 against 1, 3 against 2, or 3 against 1. Why does somebody come and try to do it to the Warriors? You know why? Because we'll slap you right in your face. Hey, let me tell you something, Koloff and Khrushchev. You tried to embarrass us not once, but twice. 3 strikes, you're out.
Hey, Tony Schiavone, even though you probably don't want to admit it, I know you're a big fan of the Road Warriors. Now, I don't want you to get any ideas that we're getting soft, because we ain't, and we ain't never going to get soft. It ain't us. But I broke down, and for the first time in mine and Animal's life, we got a little present for you, Tony Schiavone. This here is an official Weasel Slappers t-shirt. We're going to give it to you because everybody knows there's 2 kinds of people. There's weasels and there's Weasel Slappers. And that's just what we are going to do. And the first 3 weasels I can think about are Ivan Koloff, Nikita Koloff, and Crusher Khrushchev. And we're here today. Where are they? We're here. We're standing on our own 2 feet. Where are the Russians? Tell them, Paul.
That's it. No more needs to be said.
Well, there you see it from the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, and my Weasel Slapper t-shirt, the team of Nelson Royal and Sam Houston when we return.
By the way, that Weasel Slapper t-shirt has been recreated right now over at boxofgimmicks.com. Be sure to pick up yours. Yes, we have a Weasel Slappers t-shirt. Let's track it. We're not done. The hits keep coming and this boogie woogie. I wonder if you get a sugar.
James J. Dillon and Tully Blanchard were saying about you earlier on the program, Jimmy.
You got that right, and that's what it's all about, baby. Because 85, the boogeyman was just staying alive. But 86, I'm going to get my kicks, baby. And I want to tell you something, Mr. J.J. Dillon. It's no big secrets that me, Boogie Woogie Man, and DR, they're just like that. It's no big secret, baby. It's just like Willie and Waylon, you understand? Me and Dusty Rhodes, just like Willie and Waylon. We go way back. You know, I don't have to even talk to the American dream. I can see the man from across the street, Daddy.
And if our eyes meet, there's a warm feeling in our hearts. A warm feeling inside. Something, J.J. Dillon, you don't know nothing about, Daddy. And you talking about starting with a domino, huh? You starting with me, baby. I'm here. I know you in there. Bring Tully Blanchard out right now. I mean, right now. Let's get it on. Because what I say, Jack, in 86, I'm looking for kicks. And I'm going to start kicking with you. J.J. Dillon and you, Tully Blanchard. American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. God bless you, brother. The boogeyman loves you to death. I'll kiss you later, baby.
Thank you. Jimmy,
Hey, you didn't have to get a kiss.
I'll kiss you later, baby. Thank you.
So nice. Sam Houston here, who I think a lot of people thought was going to be a really big deal in pro wrestling. And for whatever reason, it wound up not being the case, but boy, he's,
I know why.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I know why it happened here, because he started dating Baby Doll and he got heat about it.
Is that really fair?
No.
But everybody, help me understand. Everybody wanted a shot at Baby Doll for real?
No.
It was bad for business. It was breaking kayfabe. Where's the heat? I'm asking.
Okay.
Anytime now.
Okay. As the story goes, she was supposed to, you know, she's one of the boys, right?
Okay.
Kind of. She's
part of the traveling troupe again. Yeah.
So they had asked her to get them something to eat because they were working. I don't know the actual.
You told the story before. She was supposed to get food.
Yeah.
She didn't get food, and people blame Sam Houston.
Well, Sam has said, I shouldn't cater to you guys anymore. She told them that.
That's a mistake.
That is a mistake. And the mistake is that was probably the tip of the iceberg, or it was probably the final straw that, as the cliche goes, broke the camel's back. That she had a different attitude because of Sam.
Right.
And thus she probably wasn't as valuable a member of the team because Sam was in her ear. And again, I'm just speculating here, but that put a lot of heat on Sam. It put a lot of heat on her and ended her career with JCP. And probably the reason he didn't get the push was because of that. And not only that, you know, Sam was kind of lean too. And yeah, okay, Ricky Morton was too as well. I get it, but.
Well, you know, he's got Jake the Snake Roberts in his family.
Yeah, can work.
Yeah. Rockin' Robin. Oh, how about Nelson Royal there? Does he? Yeah. I don't know about Nelson. Here's Magnum with the U.S. champ.
With the Barbarian, but Harley Race also, and even Paul Jones with the cane.
Let's take this one step at a time. Maybe 1986 will be a chance for Paul Jones and myself to get a little bit acquainted. He's seen his Barbarian down for what should have been a 1-2-3 count right here on national television. Well, Barbarian, you're just as big and strong as I thought you'd be, but I know you can be beat now. Now let's get down to some real serious business. Harley Race, I don't care if you're a 1-time, 7-time, 20-time former world champion. That's in the past. Today, I'm the United States Heavyweight Champion, and you're not. So if you want to walk around here sticking your nose in somebody's business, I'm a good person to start with. This belt right here isn't left sitting up on a shelf somewhere gathering dust. I'll defend it against anybody at any time. And you, my main man now, because you came out here and tried to embarrass me, tried to put me out in front of a lot of people. Well, this is right here. This is the bait. I'll give you all the chance you want. This is a stepping stone because you've got to go up again. You're down here right now. I'm the man you've got to beat if you want to be somebody. So Harley Race, all I got to say to you is go for it. Take me out if you can, but I don't think you're half the man that you once were.
Okay, the U.S. Heavyweight Champion Magnum T.A. for David Crockett. I'm Tony Schiavone. See you next week on World Championship Wrestling.
Well, Tony, what'd you think? Oh, there it is. Producer Virgil Runnels.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I also like that you guys give credit.
Ricky Laster, I saw the cameramen. They were cameramen that hung with us for quite a while. I saw that go through there. And I just, buddy, we struck gold with that one, man.
Come on. I'm just telling you, 1986 is going to be so fun to revisit. That was just week one, and it feels like we just watched 2 or 3 great shows together because so much happened. The storylines were advancing so well. Dusty and his booking is clicking on all cylinders. Can we agree?
Oh yeah.
And what talent you've got here. Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the Russians, the Rock and Rolls, the Midnights, Magnum, on and on and on. Oh, the Road Warriors. Are you kidding? This is going to be a great year. And I hope that you guys had as much fun today as we did. We're going to keep the hits going, man. 1986 Jim Crockett Promotions. We're going to have a lot of fun here. And of course, yes, we're still going to do whatever sort of crazy off the wall stuff you want over at patreon.com/WHW Monday. As for our bonus shows here on adfreeshows.com, not only will you get the video version of this show so you can see Tony and I, but you'll also get additional bonus shows because at some point, we're going to have not 1, but 2 Crockett shows, not just the TBS show, but another show. And that's all on the network as well. So you're going to be able to keep up with everything that's happening in Jim Crockett Promotions in 1986 right here on adfreeshows.com. But Tony, right now, it feels like it's about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Schiavone comes to the ring and he's got his Weasel Slapper t-shirt. And wait a minute. He doesn't have his Weasel Slapper t-shirt. Why didn't he keep that thing? What is fucking wrong with him? How much money can that shirt be worth right now? And like his brain, we are desperately out of time. See you next week on What Happened When. We come to you on Westwood One, but don't forget we drop Mondays only on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday, or of course, adfreeshows.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.